A little girl named Emily, dressed in a bright red hoodie against a late afternoon chill, was walking with her father, Officer Jake Sterling, down a quiet, leafy street in a suburb of Denver, Colorado, when a haunting sight snagged her attention. Long-tail keyword, emotional reunion of Denver police officer and K-9 partner. Chained securely to a weathered utility pole, head bowed in utter defeat, sat a majestic German shepherd with eyes that held 1,000-yard stare of pure heartbreak. Right next to him, a jagged piece of cardboard was secured, bearing words written in black marker that were absolutely chilling. The Beast. But as the child slowly approached, and her innocent blue eyes met the wounded amber ones of the animal, her father, a uniformed police officer, felt the entire world dissolve, because this magnificent dog was far from a stranger. Long-tail keyword, heartbreaking story of a retired police dog found abandoned. He was a partner, a shadow, a friend, a hero, a soul Jake had mourned as lost forever after an operation years ago. The golden light of the fading Colorado sunset was stretching long shadows across the small town square. People shuffled by, some carrying heavy grocery bags from King Soopers, others sipping a latte, completely absorbed in their own busy lives. Nobody seemed to notice the silent tragedy unfolding on that neglected street corner. Nobody except Emily, the girl in the brilliant red. Her sharp, curious gaze fixed on something terribly wrong with the peaceful scene. A large, powerful dog, his rich black and tan coat stained and matted from neglect, sat motionless beside the light post. He made no sound, offered no movement, just drew labored, heavy breaths, as if each gasp for air demanded tremendous effort, and then she spotted the sign. Those crude, cruel words scrawled in thick permanent marker, "The Beast." Emily wrinkled her nose. She hated that word. This dog didn't look like a beast. He looked profoundly sad, like he'd given up hope. She tugged persistently on her dad's sleeve. "Daddy, can we buy that dog?" Her voice was soft, barely a whisper, but there was an undeniable, desperate urgency in her tone that Jake could not ignore. Long-tail keyword, little girl's plea to rescue a sad German shepherd. The officer, still wearing his full-duty uniform after clocking out of the precinct, followed his daughter's pointed gaze, and what he saw paralyzed him, seizing the air in his lungs. The German shepherd barely lifted his scarred muzzle. His deep, tired brown eyes met the man's. And in that instant, a dam broke inside Jake, because he knew those eyes. He had looked into them countless times, during freezing patrol nights, through explosive raids, in moments where that dog's fierce, unyielding loyalty was the absolute only thing that stood between life and death. His heart nearly stopped, then hammered against his ribs. It couldn't possibly be him. But the longer he stared, the more overwhelming the certainty became. The specific grizzled streaks on his muzzle, the telltale scar over his right front paw, the familiar slightly cocked tilt of his head. Every detail matched. This wasn't just any dog. This was his K-9 partner, Axel, the one who vanished during a bust near the Arizona border years ago. The one everyone, including Jake, had officially written off as deceased. Long-tail keyword, unforgettable moment. A K-9 handler recognized his lost partner. Jake stumbled back a step, stunned, disoriented. His breathing became shallow and erratic. "Axel? No way," he rasped, the name barely audible. Emily looked up at him, confused, clinging tightly to his arm. The dog, sensing a connection, a memory, a recognition in the air, let out a tiny, soft whimper. His tail gave one weak, silent tap against the concrete pavement. Only once, as if the energy for a second beat was too much. But that single movement, that soft sound, was all the proof Jake needed. He wasn't staring at a beast. He was standing before a forgotten, heroic soul. Years ago, this German shepherd was not chained to a pole. He was an active-duty K-9 officer. He was a crucial part of a specialized police unit, trained rigorously to detect narcotics, track dangerous fugitives through the wilderness, and protect his human team at all costs. But far exceeding his incredible skills, what made Axel legendary was his unbreakable, ferocious devotion. Everything changed on a chaotic night during a dangerous raid in the industrial district of Phoenix. Amidst the flashing lights, shouting, and sudden gunfire, Axel pursued a suspect who fled into the shadows. When backup finally secured the scene, Axel was gone. They searched tirelessly for days, then weeks. Some speculated he was stolen for ransom, others feared he didn't survive the encounter. Eventually the case was closed, and Axel was honored as a hero lost in the line of duty, but the grim truth was far more sinister. Someone had deliberately taken him. They kept him hidden, confined in utterly horrific conditions. Starvation, relentless abuse, profound neglect. Until he was nothing more than a broken shadow of the fearless protector he once was. They deemed him useless, disposable, and dumped him in the street with a sign branding him as worthless. Long-tail keyword, tragic fate of an abused former police German Shepherd. Now facing his long-lost partner, Jake felt a tearing pain in his chest. This wasn't a cheap dog being sold. This was the companion who had willingly risked everything for him. A true American hero, reduced to a pitiful dollar sign. Emily, thankfully, knew none of this dark history. She couldn't begin to understand the crushing, silent pain that gripped her father. She just saw a massive, lonely animal desperately needing love. She slowly slipped her hand from her dad's grasp and knelt down in front of the dog. Her eyes were shimmering with pure, unqualified tenderness. At first, the German Shepherd remained still, wary. He just watched her, as if he couldn't believe a human would approach without fear or outright disgust. Then, with a tremulous, deep sigh, he lowered his head toward Emily's tiny, extended hand. His cold, damp nose gently brushed her fingers, and for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, his rigid body visibly softened. A deep, quiet sound, a soft, grateful whimper, escaped his throat as he finally leaned into her touch. Emily laughed through sudden tears, wrapping her small arms around Axel's thick neck. Long-tail keyword heartwarming moment. Little girl adopts abandoned canine hero. See, Daddy? He's not scary at all. He just needed somebody to want him. A few nearby pedestrians stopped their hurried pace, whispering in disbelief. The beast, the dog labeled dangerous and vicious, was now resting his entire weight in the embrace of a little girl, as if she was the only thing he had waited for all these years. The impossible, beautiful contrast was stunning. Jake felt a profound sense of healing wash over him. Watching his daughter and Axel together, he finally grasped the profound truth. This animal had never lost his inherent goodness, his loyal heart. He had simply been waiting for a soul pure enough to look past the scars and truly see him. Jake straightened up, his posture regaining its authoritative edge. His gaze zeroed in on a scruffy man leaning against a beat-up pickup truck nearby, observing the scene with callous indifference. It was immediately clear this was no random abandonment. Someone chained him, and someone wrote that hateful sign. Long-tail keyword, police officer confronts owner who dumped former service dog. Is this your dog? Jake's voice was low, controlled, but rock solid. The man just offered a dismissive shrug. Nah, he's done. Useless, you know. Eats too much kibble, won't listen. Figured I could get $1 or $2, but if you want the pain, take him. He's nothing but trouble. Those cold, awful words landed like concrete blocks in Jake's stomach. Trouble? This dog was the reason Jake was still alive. He had been more trustworthy than half the people Jake had ever worked with, and now he was being discarded like garbage. Emily pulled insistently on her father's uniform shirt again. Her eyes were wide with desperate pleading. Daddy, please don't leave him here. He's ours now. I promise I'll take the best care of him, please. The polished metal of Jake's badge felt suddenly heavy, a literal weight of duty on his chest. He knew his official oath was to enforce the code, but his entire being screamed a higher commandment. This wasn't just about rescuing a dog. It was about honoring loyalty, delivering justice, and giving a much-deserved second chance to a hero who had given everything. Long-tail keyword. Emotional second chance rescue of heroic German Shepherd. He inhaled deeply, drawing courage. The time for a decision had arrived. Take that chain off him right now." When the man hesitated, Jake's hand deliberately moved and settled firmly on the butt of his sidearm. There was no longer any room for discussion or debate. In seconds, the heavy, dark metal links clattered onto the rough pavement with a final, echoing crash. The German shepherd flinched hard initially, then slowly, tentatively stretched his powerful neck, as if he couldn't quite comprehend that the terrible weight was truly gone. Emily let out a shout of pure, unadulterated joy and hugged him tighter than ever. Axel pressed his head hard against her small chest. His tail began to move, slowly at first, then gaining speed, until it was sweeping side to side, absolutely bursting with new life. Long-tail keyword, incredible pet transformation journey after rescue. Tears streamed down Jake's face, blurring his vision, as he witnessed the spectacular transformation. The damaged animal they had viciously labeled the Beast was utterly gone. In his place stood the dedicated, noble, and fiercely grateful companion he had known years before. Around them, a handful of people began to clap softly, reverently, deeply moved by the miracle they had just witnessed. As he walked away with his precious daughter and his newly freed canine partner, Jake felt a gigantic, crushing weight lift completely from his spirit. What had started as a cruel, forgotten scene had become a beautiful, life-altering moment of destiny. The world had called him a monster, but the truth was undeniable. He was Axel, a protector, a hero, a partner. "And now, my girl, we're a family again," Jake whispered to Emily. "You were completely right. He just needed someone to believe in him." It takes the pure, untainted heart of a child to truly remind us all that every single soul, human or animal, deserves a genuine second chance. If this story touched your heart, many more await you. Love letters, subscribe to Whisker Tales, hit the bell icon, and don't miss an episode. We deliver the most heartwarming pet tales, showcasing unwavering animal loyalty and incredible second chance stories for dogs. Join our family.